So we are going to start off by coming to sheets.google.com, as you can see on the browser, and it opens you up here. So you'll be able to see create a new spreadsheet. Now we've already created a blank sheet. You can see it's empty. So next, first thing first, you need to bring in your data. Your data can come in from diverse sources. I have a data preloaded on my Google Drive. So you insert your data, ensure that you are. Now, I'm not creating a spreadsheet, I'm replacing the current spreadsheet. So I'm going to say import. So it's going to take some time depending on how fast your data is to carry out the import. So our data has been imported. You can see the data. So the first thing you need to do is to take a look at your data or carry out what we call data study. When you get a new data for the first time, you are expected to study your data to know how the data is structured. In this, we have different columns. We have the transaction ID, we have the transaction dates, the time, transaction time, then the transaction quantity, then we have store ID, store location, product ID, unit price, product category, product type, and product details. Now the data is actually a very large data, so and that's why it's taking time to load up. All right. So as you carry out your data study, identifying each of the columns and what their data format is all about. Now, the stages in data analytics stems from data collection, data cleanup, or data formatting. Then you have your data structures. Then before you begin your analysis, after your analysis, you get involved with your data visualization and then finally data interpretation. In your data study, this is an ID, so it's supposed to be number. So we have to make sure it is number. Then this is a date column, which is transaction date, so it has to be a date format. So to ensure it is actually the date format, you can come to format, number, and date. So you put it in this format. So now that sets it to that, and then you come down to the time, ensuring that this is a time format. You can come here, you can see time here. So we put this here, you can see it has changed it to AM and put PM. Then transaction quantity should be number, store ID, okay. Each store have different ID. So you can see 5, you see 8. So each of the stores have been labeled. I can see 3, I can see, okay, 5, 8, 3, and all that. So then the next column is store location, which is this. So if you check, all store ID number 5 is Lower Manhattan, and then all store ID number 8 is Hell's Kitchen, Hell's Kitchen, Hell's Kitchen, and also all store ID number 3 is Astoria. And those are the only three numbers. That means most likely, but we'll get to find out during our analysis the total number of stores available. Product ID This should be numbered. Each product has been numbered. And then the unit price for product. This is product ID 32, cost for $3. So this unit price is supposed to be in currencies. So we have to make sure that it is in that format. So you come down to format and you go to number and you change to currency. Now you can use Naira because this is Nigeria. So you can see Nigerian Naira here. So when I select this, now it has changed everything into the Nigerian Naira. The next is product category. These are the products, so it should be text based. Then next is product type, what type of product. And then finally, we have product details. So this is how the raw data came out. From all indication, apart from the little formatting I just did by changing the data types of each column, the data is actually a clean data. So you really do not have much to do in terms of data cleaning and data formatting. So we can actually proceed to analysis right away. On this, first thing first, because I don't want to um, touch this particular data, I'm going to copy this data so I don't accidentally edit the data. So I'm going to leave the raw data as it is. I'm going to create a new sheet here. So this is a blank sheet. So what I'm going to do now is use the query function, which is query, and pull in my data, which is, you can see data here. So I'm going to pull in my data, come down to my transaction and select all the data like this. So you can see it's already selected all the data from row 1 to row 149,000. Now you can see how large this data is. 149,000 rows of data is what we are trying to analyze. If you were to use your normal eyes to view, how long will it take you to begin to process 149,000 data? But we're going to do that using the help of the data analytics tool. So let's close up the brackets to pull in the data, and then you press enter. So that code, the query code, is supposed to pull in the data. You can see it's actually loading up your data at this point. Okay, so we just loaded the data. Now you can imagine just this one line of code loaded over 149,000 rows of data for analysis. And you can see the data is here. So first thing first, now this is a mirror data. I can do anything to this data without affecting your main data. You can see I have two sheets here now. Transactions is your raw data, and sheet one, I'm going to rename the sheet now to analysis. So my analysis sheet is a mirror of my main data. So I can just begin by first, let me format this row by selecting all the top header, and I'll select all the columns involved, come down to format and use alternate colors. Google Sheets have a way to give you options on different colors, so you can format your sheet and the style. When you're okay with the color, you click on done. And here is what our new sheet looks like. So now we are about to begin our analysis of this data. So what exactly are we looking for? I have a list of things, questions I want this data to answer for me. First, I want to know what's the total sales, what's the total quantities sold, what's the top selling product, what's the least selling product, what's the average unit price per product, the total transaction per product, the total revenue per product type, monthly sales, store-wise revenue, then product details count. Then finally, average quantity sold and unique product sold. So these questions are expected to be answered by this data. So let's begin. So let's begin our analysis. All right. So because we are going to be looking for monthly sales and total sales, I have added two new columns here, which is I want to pull out the month, only the month from this data, and then total sales. Now, if you check here, we have the unit price and the quantities sold, transaction quantity. This is transaction quantity and this is unit price. So for us to be able to get the total sales for this particular transaction, we have to multiply how many the number of quantity times how much one is sold for, which is 3 times 2. So for us to first, let's do the month. You can use month and use the code month. You can say to pick up only the month from a list of date column, and that's this. Then you close up the bracket so you can see month bracket, the cell, then close the bracket and you press enter. Now it's showing you one. One is actually January. So you can actually hold down the blue point and drag down. It's going to show you all these are January transaction, and you can do that for all of them. So I'm going to select the full column down to the 149,000 column rows, and then implement the same date code. So you can see it's processing. You press Ctrl D, it's going to copy the formula in that last cells into the other rows. So you can see now you can see this is May. This is May down to June. June is 6. So now we've been able to get our month column. Now for total sales, we have to multiply the quantity sold times the unit amount for one. So say equals to, you go to the unit price, which is this, multiply by transaction quantity, this. So you press enter, that gives you 6. And now Excel is suggesting that do you want to do that for all the columns? The answer is yes. So I'm going to check this, and it's automatic. Excel is going to fill up all those columns. So you can see now we now have our total sales, but because this is a currency, so we're going to format this as currency. So you click on the select the full column, go down to format, number, and naira, Nigerian naira. So good. So you can see we have 6 naira, 6 naira. And so this, we can now begin to find what's the total sales by product per month and all of that. All right, so we are going to begin our analysis here. If you check, I've already typed out what we are looking for. We are looking for a product by category, total sales by category, total transactions by product category, then monthly sales, the total number of months, then unique products sold, the total sales sold, total quantity that has been sold, average unit price per product, then store-wise, the total number of stores and what sales came in from each of those stores. Then we're going to look at the various product types and what sales was made on each of the product type. And then finally, we'll take a look at, based on store-wise, which category is selling in each of the store. And these are the names of the stores: Lower Manhattan, Real Kitchen, and Astoria. So we want to look at which of the top selling categories in each of this. So this is how our analysis is going to go. We're going to do them one after the other. So first, let's begin from here. We want to pull out all the product category, unique product category. If you come down here, you see under my product category, I have coffee, tea, drinking coffee, tea, bakery. So there are a lot. Each transaction is grouped according to category. So we're going to be using the K column to sort out the category. And there's a code we're going to use called the unique. You can see it there. So unique, you set the range. My range is K. So I'm picking K to K, but I don't want to start from K1 so it doesn't pick the header. So I'm going to start from K2 down to K. Don't worry about these formulas. You will be taught from scratch how to key in this formula. Then it's asking you, do you want to group by column? No, so it's going to be false and false. Exactly. So it said exactly once false. So it will count the total number of times that each of them have appeared and give you one instance of each. So false, and that will be it. So when you press enter, you can see it has given you all the total product category on this data. We have only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 product categories on this in this whole data. So you can see it here. So we have been able to solve for the first metrics that we're looking for. And then the next metrics is total sales by category. Now, we're looking for what is the total number of coffee products sold? What's the total number of tea products sold in the list of all these data? We want to be able to sort which is coffee, which is tea, which is drinking chocolate. So we're going to come down to this and put in an equal to sign, and we say sum if. So sum if is a function you use to sum a particular column if certain conditions are met. So we want to say sum, and the range we are looking for is, we are summing the total sales. We're actually summing here. So your range is your whole data. So you're going to select the whole of the data from here down to the end, which is this. So this is our whole data that we're working with. So inclusive of this. So it won't end at M, is going to go down to Q. So we're selecting the whole range, and then we're looking for what's the criteria. So the next is criteria. What are you looking at to sum? So we're using the product category as a criteria. You put in your comma. So which role is it going to sum if it finds that value, and it is column Q. So and you close your bracket and you click enter. It's going to sum all of the coffee transaction that exists here. Okay, now we're having 0. So we're going to check what the problem. So now let's review the formula. We said sum C to Q using criteria T2 and Q to Q. So now we are looking at the range. Oh, yes. Now you can see from here, this is the particular column product category is what we are looking out for. So our range is going to be this column. So we're going to correct it in the formula. So that's supposed to be K to K. Every other thing is correct. Our criteria is this, which is T2, and the sum range. What is it going to sum if it finds coffee? It's going to sum here. So when you press enter, okay, yes. So now you see it has given you your full, this is the total amount that has been sold by this category. And this is supposed to be a transaction, so we're going to give it a Naira format. Number, Nigerian Naira. So 45,000 Naira was sold in coffee. We can do the same for tea, for drinking chocolate. What we can do, just drag this down, and it gives you the cost, the price, the sales volume or price for each of these product uh, category. So now we've been able to sell the total sales by category. The next thing is going to be the total transaction by product category. The function we are going to use here is count, because we are trying to count how many transactions took place for coffee. So we're going to use count if function. So what's the range? We are counting total transaction by product category. So we're going to go to product category, which is this. So this is our criteria. This is the range. You give it a comma. The next is what is the criteria you're using to check for that? What is it counting with? Our criteria is coffee. So we want to know how many transactions took place on the coffee. You close your bracket and you press enter. So there are 9,981 transactions was carried out for coffee alone. So you can do the same by running it through down, drag the blue point there, and it gives you each transaction that took place in each of the product category. So with this, we've done our first um, analysis. We've done our first analysis by finding product category, total sales by category, and total transactions by product category. Next, we are going to pick the monthly transaction, but first we have to pull out the month. So we will use the unique function to pull out the total number of months. which is unique. The range, we are picking P, but we're starting from P1, sorry, P2 to P, and then it's going by that column, so it's going to be false and false. Like I told you, don't bother about the formulas. You'll be taught from scratch how all these are done. Now you can see it has given us 3 months, but this 12 is an error because we do not have up to 12 months. Now, the reason why it's giving you that, if you scroll down and check your data, you see that there is a row that is not included. Now, you can see down here, all these 12 you see are not included in our data set. So if you scroll up, you're going to see where your data ends. So you can see from this point. So you can see where our data stopped. Yes, our data stopped here. So I'm going to delete all these other part of the data because we don't need them. So we will select from here, Control Shift down arrow, select everything on that column, and then you right click on it and say delete these rows. So now you can see we have just what we need. So now let's get back to our analysis and check. You discover it has reduced the month to two. So it's only January and February. So we want to calculate the total number of sales that was made in the month of January. We're still going to use the sum if. So we'll say is equal to sum if. Then the range, we are looking at this range, P to P. And the criteria, we want to check if it matches with this. And if it matches with this, what do we add up? What are we summing? We want to sum the total sales that was made in that particular month, which is Q. So any total sales, any of the sales here that matches with the month of January will be added for us. You close your bracket and press enter so you can see this is the total number of sales that was done in January. And then because it is a currency or a transaction, change, give it a format to Naira. Yes, so we sold it in 1,000 Naira in January, and then you can also run it down like this. And then we sold 36,000 Naira in February. So these are the 2 months. So the whole data we have is a 2 month data from your analysis. So this is a 2 months transaction data. So we are done with our second analysis. The third analysis is store-wise category. So we want to know the total number of stores that we have, first of all. So we're going to say store name. Let's use the unique code to pick out the store name. What's the range? The range should be the store location. What is this? Yes, store location. So, and then we're picking by column. So it's going to be false because you say, are you picking by column? If you pick true, it's going to give you by row, which is horizontal. So we're going to pick false. You can as well leave it blank. It still runs because we assume the default. exactly once false. You close your bracket and you press enter. So it has been able to pull we have store location. Okay, now see there's an error here. It's picking the column header, which is store location. This. We don't want it to pick this. So we're going to change from H. We're going to tell it to start looking at it from H2. H2. Enter. So you can see it has given us the right store, total number of stores available. So next is what's the total sales made by each of these stores? Let's assume you have three stores in three different locations and you're trying to find out what sales are coming in from each of these stores. So you can use your sum if, can also do that. Sum if function. The range is going to be the store location here, which is H. So that's going to be our range. What are we using to as a criteria to check? We are using this, and if we see this, anywhere we see Lower Manhattan in the store location, we should trace it down and add or sum up what the total sales is. So our range is this. Then you close your bracket and press enter. So you can now see what's going on here. So we have 38,000 naira made by the first store. We'll give it a naira value, which is this. So let's look at what the other stores are making revenues from the other stores. So now you can see this 41,000, Hell's Kitchen is making 41,000 and Astoria is making 38,000 naira. Good. So we are almost done with answering the questions from our data. So next is going to be the various product type and the sales we made by each product type. So first thing, let's get our product type out. So we're going to use the unique function again to pick unique values of products. So unique, what's the range we are looking for? We're looking for it in product type, which is this product type. So we're picking this column, but we don't want it to pick the header. So we're going to tell it to start from row 2. So we're going to say L2. Yes, so it's going to begin from L2, that's the range. And we're picking by this column. So um, next is going to be give it a comma and then false, comma, false, close bracket, and then enter. So now this is what we have. So these are the list of products that the company is selling. So you can see all these are the products that they're selling. So each of the product, we want to know how much each of the product is making for the company. So I'm going to use the sum if to identify that. So we come in here, the range is we are looking at the product type. So always ensure you select the right column. We're looking at the product type. What criteria are we using to check? We are using to check from here. So when it sees this particular product, it should add up the total sales for all those products that were sold by that particular store. So this is my range for sum. Then you close your bracket and press enter. So it's telling you now that this particular product sold about 11,717.7 naira. You give it naira currency type. So now you can see what this is. So and you can also drag down to give you what each product is selling. And you can actually see the top selling product in terms of revenue generation and the least selling product. So now we've been able to find the sales done by product type. So now, how many products do we have? The unique products that we have. All you simply need to do is count all of these products here to give you the unique product. But we can actually do that from the product type column, which is this column. So if we want to get the unique product sold, we will use the count if, because we want to count it. We want to count the total number of products that we have. So you use the count distinct, which is count A. So you just select the product type column, which is this, and ensure that it starts from L2. So you don't pick the header as well. Then you close the bracket, sorry, you close the bracket and you press enter. So count distinct is giving us, okay, no, this is an error because we are counting the whole transactions in that column. What we are supposed to be counting is the unique products count A, and then we will select all the products that are here. So you run down your mouse and count it, then you close your bracket to give you the. So here we have our total product, unique products to be 29. Then total sales, the total sales that was made, whether it's all the 29 products, total sales that was made cumulatively is this is easy. You just do a sum, sum up all the products that was sold here, which is this. But let it start from Q2 through Q. So you close your bracket and you press enter. So you can see we have made a total sale of 118,482 naira in both January and February because that's what we did. Then the total quantity of products that have been sold thus far, we are going to count. From here, we have the transaction quantities. So all we simply need to do is add up all the quantities of products that have been sold thus far to give us an idea of what our total quantity sold. So you can come to sum and you pick your quantity column, which is this, and then you close your bracket and press enter. So it's telling you that there are 36,000 quantities have been sold. Then we also want to find out what's the average unit price spent by a customer. Every customer that comes spends between certain values or certain amount of money. So we want to find what's the average price spent by a customer. So all we need to do is because we are looking for average unit price. If we're looking for average total price, we should be talking about this column. But now we're looking for average unit price, so you should be dealing with the unit price column, which is this. So we're going to sum or look for the average of the unit price, which is equal to average. So you pick the average of, scroll down here, and then we have this. Then you close your bracket and enter. So each customer is projected to spend about 3.3 naira 37 kobo. And you can also give that you can give that a currency which is 3 naira 37 kobo. So you can see our analysis is almost complete. It's almost complete, remaining just one. So we want to look at what each store is selling by category. But first, we have to pull out all the categories here. So we're going to use the unique function to pull up our categories. Unique function, we are going to the product category column, which is this K, product category. And we want to make sure that it starts from K2 so it doesn't pick the header. And then false, false, enter. So now that has given us all the list of category of products that we have. Now we want to show what was made, how much sales was done for Loha Mahantan on coffee, on tea, in Hell's Kitchen, like that subsequently. So let's do that. So we want to know what product was sold for each of these store on each of the various categories. So that's going to be the last analysis that we're going to carry out on the data. So the next, which is the last one, so next, which is our last metrics, is a little bit technical because it's not like the usual straightforward analysis that we do. Because we are looking for two criterias now. One, we're looking for the sales that was made in this store under coffee, the sales that was made in this store under tea. So all those sales are going to be listed out here. Likewise for this store and for this store. So there are two criteria we are looking out for here. So in this case, we are going to use a combination of criteria. So instead of sum if, there's sum if allows you to impute one criteria, but sum if s gives you the opportunity to use multiple criteria. So we can use the sum if s. So they're asking you what would you want to sum. So we want to sum the total sales that was made. So I've selected the total sales Q to Q and I click on, I put my comma. Then they're asking you what's your criterion range. Let's pick the first criteria to be category. We want to check for the product category that was sold. So our criterion range is product category. Come down to the data and pick your product category column. Then what criteria do you want to use to check in that category? We are using the coffee criteria to check in that category. And then when you are done with that, you put your comma again. It gives you another opportunity to choose another range. Now we want to use the range of the store location to check. So we're going to go down to store location, store location, and select this is the second range, comma. And what's the criterion we are using to check in that range? It is this Loha Manhattan. So now our formula is set. You can close up your bracket and press enter. So you can see under this store, we have sold only coffee alone. We have sold about 15,777 naira worth of coffee product has been sold by that store. So we give it a number format of currency, and this is it. So you can repeat the same for tea, for drinking chocolate, and but in this case we cannot just drag down because the the other categories are not sequentially arranged in the data. So you will have to repeat what you did here the same way here. So what you can simply do is to put in your equal to sign, and or rather what you can do is double click here and change your sum range is still Q. That's okay. And your product, your first criteria, let's check what K is. The first criteria is supposed to be product category, which is K, and the next is the next should be your store wise category. So which is store location on your data. So you're going to look at H. Okay, it's already there. So I think what the problem challenge might be is you see is looking up Y28, which is definitely not what we are looking for. So this Y28 is supposed to be Y27 because this is what we're using to check. So you change this back to 27. You see, it has given you the actual value. So in that case, the only thing that is changing here, this will change to 27, not 29. Then we have our actual value there. So if you want that to be consistent in your data, you can lock up that particular cell so it doesn't change. So when you double click here, you can come here and put in your dollar sign, which is this and this. So with this, it remains the same and you're able to just drag down and then you have your figures. So you can see we've gotten our total sales for the Lower Manhattan store. So I'm going to pause the video and do the same for the other store because of time. So I am back, and here is our final analysis. So we have been able to find the total product categories that we have. These are them. There are nine. And the total sales that was made for each category. These are them. And the total transaction by product category. These are them. And We also have the unique products sold. We have 29 products that are unique. And total sales that was made is 118. And total quantity sold is 36,417 an average unit price. So this is a 2 month data. This is a 2 month data, January and February, and these are the sales made in both months. Then we have store-wise location. There are three different stores from our data, and this is the sales that was made in each of the store. And here we have the various categories that was sold in each of the store. Coffee was sold. The Lower Manhattan store made 15,000 naira on coffee sales, made 10,000 naira on tea sales, made 3,000 on drinking chocolate, and likewise as the case may be. So if you want to find whether this particular number is correct, that's the total sales made in Manhattan stores, all you simply need to do is find the total here, which is the total sales made. It's just to add up everything in this column. So we can take the sum. So he has already told us that he is summing everything that is here, and it's 38,507.55. So what do we have there? 38,507.55. That's to tell you that your analysis here is correct, but this is how they are distributed. And you can do the same for the other stores to see from the record here. If you look at it manually, you discover that the Hell's Kitchen actually sold more, or they made more revenue compared to other stores. And we can give it a format of number in naira. So 41,000, 38,500, and 38,700. So the least performing store according to our data is Lower Manhattan stores. So this is our analysis. This is our analysis, and we're going to stop here for today. For tomorrow's class, we are going to be visualizing these data. So currently, we have our analysis done, but we will not want to present our reports like this. So tomorrow, we're going to be putting these, doing data visualization and data interpretation tomorrow. So don't miss class tomorrow, but follow through on this. And if you have questions, do not hesitate to drop them on the comment section of this video. I'll see you in class tomorrow. Thank you for watching.